What's up, Bobo? This is my dad.
It's a little nerve-wracking being in front of the camera. Yeah.
I think we just start because I think this is also an interesting topic. But just like before we start, this is my dad. His name's Bo. And how old are you, Bo?
I'm 61.
He's 61, but he still looks and acts like a child. Anyway, what were you talking about? So we were talking about how it can be nervous to be on camera because you feel like you're like kind of expressing yourself. Talking is like a form of expression, would
Yeah.
you say?
Oh, absolutely.
So when you're in front of a group of people and you have to talk, you're expressing yourself, and now it feels like, what do you think the nerves come from? Because a lot of people have it, that like nerve.
I don't know where that comes from. It's interesting though because some people love to be like the center of attention,
Yeah,
and and I've got friends like that.
Yeah.
And also family members.
yeah,
And and then there's others that just want to be.
yeah. But I like to be the center of attention, but
Yeah.
I still get way nervous.
Do you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know. So I don't think it's that like. There's also, but the thing is, like, if you think about it, like even kids get nervous in front of large groups of people.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's not like fully a learned behavior, as in like it could be a learned behavior, but it's not. It might not be a learned behavior because I've seen a bunch of kids get nervous in front of them. You know, they get really shy.
Yeah. I think that's true. I don't think it's probably a learned behavior. I think it's just more of a just whatever your bio makeup is, you know. And
You don't think it's like a survival instinct?
I think that it possibly could be that as well. So, type of an instinct thing. But I do think with practice, though,
Yeah.
you can practice yourself out of being nervous about and speaking in front of people.
Oh yeah, I would agree. I think, like for me, I go like live on the internet and stuff, and I usually don't really get that nervous. Like I ease in. It doesn't feel like that scary for me. Like
Yeah.
in front of like, even if it's in front of like 100 people,
Yeah.
it doesn't really feel like it's like in front of 100 people to me. I just feel like I can thrive in that like environment.
Mm-hmm.
But if there was 100 people standing in front of me in person,
Yeah.
I would feel a lot more like of that pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that pressure kind of leads into more pressure
Mm-hmm.
because you can't like ease into it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. But you like to express yourself. You do poetry. And
Yeah,
you paint, and
I
you started
love-
painting.
Love writing poetry and love painting and not necessarily concerned so much with the end product. It's just the process of doing it I love so much. I love colors,
Yeah.
and
Do you have a favorite color?
I've
Or
got
does it change?
yeah, it kind of changes.
What's your favorite color right now?
I would say invisible blue.
Invisible blue?
Yeah.
What's that? The sky?
Huh?
Is that the sky?
It's
Is
like-
this a color that you made up, or is this a real color?
I think it's a real color.
But like, is it called invisible blue?
I call it invisible
Oh.
blue.
Okay.
So you've got, if you look up in the sky and the sky is blue,
Mm-hmm.
but if you're up there flying in an airplane,
It's invisible.
yeah, it's no longer blue. And so, to me, invisible blue, you can't actually paint anything with it, like a building
Yeah.
or a car or
Yeah.
or a prison or a church or a canvas. You can't paint anything with it. The only thing you can paint with invisible blue is something that's invisible. I love that. I do. I love it.
I know, it just is funny.
Yeah.
It's funny how you think. You know what my favorite color is?
What?
What do you think? Right
Blue?
now. No. It's green. It's like this green.
I gotcha.
I-
Well, you know, I did name you.
Yeah, you
I
named,
gave you your middle name.
I know. And it wasn't even your favorite color.
Yeah, it was.
It was.
Yeah,
Okay.
blue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought it wasn't your favorite color.
No, blue was my favorite color, but I have so many really favorite colors now. Like it,
I
a
feel
lot.
similar.
Yeah,
I feel similar. I don't think like a favorite color even is like a really fair
yeah,
like thing because you fall like there's just so many there's so much like little there's so much pretty things about different colors.
mm-hmm.
Um but anyway, what do you like? Do you know when you write poetry? I feel like you're a pretty spiritual person, and I feel like you kind of write about the same thing in
Yeah,
a
I
lot of
do.
your poetry. What do you think you're writing about?
Well, I don't know exactly what I'm writing about. It's more that it's a feeling that's coming out of me, or it could be related to a dream I had. But
Yeah.
it's not. My poems are more like expressions of. A lot of times when I write a poem, it just makes me feel so good, like kind of like giddy, kind of like it
Yeah.
tickles me a lot,
Yeah.
and so it just makes me like it's different. I mean, to me, a good poem is one that makes me, you know, almost. I'm just so full of joy. I just love it. Right? It's
Yeah.
just like, and it tickles me somehow, and it's just like, but it can be an atrocious poem. Like if anybody else read it, they would be like, "This is awful," and I would have to agree with them. But my standard is not based on whether somebody will like it or not. It's how it makes me feel, and so um, yeah. So I love it. It's a good way of expressing stuff that you cannot really that can't be expressed.
Yeah.
And but every now and then, if somebody reads my poem, a poem of mine, I will be able to somehow transmit that joyful feeling. The poem will transfer it to somebody else, and they'll have a
I think
joyful
that's
feeling, and it's cool when that happens.
yeah.
Yeah, I like
I
that.
think that's kind of what a lot of I feel like that's kind of what art and expression is in a way.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
would be interested to speaking with other artists and hearing their how.
You're trying to get them to feel the feeling that you
Well, it
are
just comes
portraying.
out automatically.
I know. I'm not saying like you're thinking like while you're doing it like, oh, I'm going to get them to feel
Yeah,
this, but I'm
yeah,
saying like if they feel the feeling
yeah,
that you felt
yeah,
when making it, then it seems like you must have done not that it matters, but a good job in a way
yeah.
because you got them to feel what you were expressing.
Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe I did.
You know, you know, you know one of the reasons.
I
You know why I do music?
Why?
Well, there's a lot of reasons, but you'll know one of them
Yeah.
as like, well, like when I was younger, I was very expressive. I wrote poetry. I wrote poems mainly only like the only time I had the energy to write a poem was when it was for a girl that didn't want me.
That's a good incentive.
But and I was very expressive online. Like Twitter had just become a thing and stuff, which is like Twitter is like a social media where like you write things. In the time you would like you just would like write things and it would um, and like post it and then people could see like you could only have like 240 characters. A character is like a letter, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
it could only short things, and I would write things when I was like in 8th grade and 9th grade, and it was pretty depressive, like expressive but depressive things. And one of the seniors in our high school told me, tweeted, like responded to my tweet and told me, called me like, I think like a pussy and a baby and a crybaby
Mm.
in front of like everybody like on Twitter,
Mm.
and I was when I was just like expressing myself and stuff,
Yeah.
and so I like deleted all my tweets and stuff and just like felt really embarrassed to go to school the next day.
Oh.
But so I felt like every time like I expressed myself when I was younger, that it was like met with like more like negativity than positivity and stuff. And so one of the reasons, not all the reasons, but one of the many reasons that I've pinned on why I like to do music is because I feel like music can make it look sexy.
Yeah,
make
agree.
expression look
Yeah,
sexy.
yeah.
And so it like,
Or make somebody not feel so uncomfortable.
yeah,
But I can relate to what you're saying as far as expressing yourself because I went through a period of time where I just had so much like feeling of love, you
yeah,
know, just was
yeah,
coming from every direction,
yeah,
and and it was just like so overwhelming, and so yeah, I would tell strangers that I didn't know, you know, that I loved them, and write letters and poetry and put it in people's mailboxes and
yeah,
that type of thing, and you know, and I think it can make people feel uncomfortable, you know,
yeah,
and if you come out of left field and you're like, gosh, you know, this is really how I feel, and
yeah.
I love you so much, and
And they're like, "What the fuck, old man?
yeah, they're like, you
Who are
know,
you?"
and you know, and I can understand. I mean,
Yeah,
I can see that now,
yeah,
that it can make people feel uncomfortable. So there is you. I think it's really important to be able to express truthfully
yeah,
yourself, and if you, and it's also important, I guess, you don't want people to feel uncomfortable when you're doing it in a
yeah.
way that makes them like so uncomfortable. And so I do think music is one of those ways where people almost, yeah, appreciate it, the expression.
It kind of like takes down their guard.
Yeah,
Music does, you know.
yeah, I think it does. And you know, everybody, not everybody, but for at least myself, I mean, it just, yeah, I'm moved by music, and my central nervous system just like picks it up and just goes, and then it just fans out into, you know, into dance, and I love it. I mean, I don't even know, you know, it just feels good.
Yeah.
And but yeah, I'm sorry you went through that.
I
And
mean, it's okay.
yeah,
I wasn't. This wasn't some. I wasn't trying to say any. I wasn't trying to say that to. I was just trying to put perspective on one of the reasons why I think I wanted to do music and
yeah,
stuff.
and I love your music,
Yeah.
you know, and it touches me. Sometimes I, you know, cry and everything when I'm hearing it.
I
And
know, but I feel like with you, I could just go like, and you would be like, that touches me.
well, sometimes depending on the context, it really can.
I
I
know.
know, you know.
I know.
So it just depends on the context, but yeah,
Yeah. Well, I think like the songs that touched you, like The Cage, which is one of them that touched you, that you probably don't remember exactly which one it is, but um, and I think it would touch other people, but also it's just like not dressed sexy enough yet. Basically, like I'm getting better, but like it's not necessarily like. I also have to consider like building. I think The Cage could be like remade into like a different style song, and it
hmm,
might touch you less, but it would touch more people.
yeah,
Do you know what I'm saying?
hmm,
Which is kind of like, as an artist, you have to figure out how to navigate like both if you want to be able to like support yourself off of it.
hmm,
But I do think that like in the future I'll be able to make that song like exactly as I want it to at the same time. So that's kind of why I hold off on songs like that, because I know like what I want them to be,
hmm,
and they aren't quite there yet.
yeah.
Yeah,
I like the raw stuff though. I like it before it gets too,
I know you do.
you know, too what's the word?
Polished.
Produced, I
Yeah.
guess, or
Polished.
engineered or whatever.
Yeah.
Because you can really, it's almost like, you know, it'd be almost like beating drums, you know, like
Yeah, but you
that
see, like
stuff. Beating drums, like, you know, if you're celebrating or you're about to go to war,
yeah,
if you're American Indians, you know, and they're beating the drums and either celebrating or, you know, it's primal.
I
And
agree.
and I love if you can express a primal, unfiltered emotion
Yeah,
through music or even looking at somebody. Sometimes you can just look at somebody and it's like it activates, you know, a force analogous to gravity, you
yeah,
know, and you don't even know how but it just turns your head, and you're like amazed at what you're looking at and feeling, and I don't know. It's just really amazing. Everything is, and it's just it can be overwhelming how amazing it is, and but I love it, and yeah.
I think that like you're more willing to listen than a lot of people though. Especially with, you already know me, I'm your son. So you're kind of more willing to listen. It's like with...
Well, if you listen, you see, I just cut you off. I wasn't listening. But if you listen, you learn so much about things.
I know, but what I'm telling you is like, you have to sometimes like earn people's willingness to listen.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't just listen. You have to like for instance, like
I think
I have a few people that are in my community, like a good bit of people that are in my community that are willing to listen.
Yeah. Well, I think that really, I do think that everybody is like a fantastic listener.
Yeah.
It's just that they are rather listen to their own voice in their head than somebody else's.
That's me too. That's
voice.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know. I mean, because that's the one that I guess speaks the loudest, that no one can hear but you.
Yeah.
And so it speaks the loudest, but you got to be very careful with that voice.
Yeah.
Because that voice changes over time and seems to get more judgmental a lot of times over the listener.
Yeah.
And other people as well. So you got to be very careful. I think that's just part of maybe a developing adult brain.
Yeah.
I think you'll find in children, if you kind of look at them, that they're, they haven't, their voice isn't so harsh and stern.
But they still feel like the world revolves around them.
Yeah.
But I do agree that their voice is not so harsh and stern, and it's such a free. Children seem to be way more free. Like they have like way more freedom to just like express no matter what.
Yeah.
And not like without any fear of like.
Absolutely.
Depending on like who they're raised with though, because some children don't have the best like open spaces.
Words that come out of their mouth and some of the things they say is just so funny and amazing and stuff. It's just great.
I saw a movie, Sinners. I was telling you about Sinners, remember?
Yeah.
It's like one of the best movies that I've seen in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like afterwards, I kind of like teared up throughout the movie and stuff, and like was just feeling a lot of emotions. And I come out of the movie theater, and there's this family, and this little girl, she's got to be like 5. And she goes, I'm sitting there like still sad in the movie, like with the movie like in my mind and stuff. And she just turns around to her mom and she goes, I gotta poo-poo so bad. In front of everybody, like in front of like every person, like tons and tons of people. It just tickled.
That is
everyone
so funny.
laughed. Me,
Yeah.
all the people that were like that like all the people there were laughing. The family was laughing. We all were looking at each other laughing. It really brought everyone together too.
That's awesome.
Do you know what I'm saying? Like all the strangers together.
Yeah.
I just thought it was hilarious.
Oh.
But about, I feel like, dude, I feel like my voice in my head, which I love to listen to apparently, more than any other voices, probably, is out of control.
I think a lot of people's is out of control.
I know I agree, and I agree with you.
Yeah, and
I don't like it.
Well, you don't like what it's saying?
Most of the time.
Yeah. Well, maybe you can't change the voice, but maybe you can change what you listen to. Or you can recognize that the voice really isn't the one that you should be primarily listening to. You know,
I feel like
you might want to be listening to the listener.
yeah.
And
I feel like I've tried pretty hard to.
yeah, I think it's like, you know, if you want to, you gotta practice. You know, you gotta take some practices with you to
Yeah.
help you do that, because it's such a powerful thing. You know, and 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 I think all of humanity struggles with that
Yeah.
voice in their head, and you know, I struggle with it, and you know, I just have learned not to give it too much credibility
Yeah.
whatsoever. And
But you know, my perspective of you is like, I know you struggle and stuff sometimes with especially things that have happened in your life and stuff, but you don't seem to be like, I feel like a pretty depressive person more often than not, and you seem to be like a very like non-depressive person.
well, I think that I think for the most part I'm like happy. You know, for
Yeah.
some reason I'm amazed at everything. You
Yeah.
know, and I've got a sense of wonder
And excitement.
and excitement, and I love that I'm alive, and I love that, you know, I love y'all, my
Yeah.
family, friends. You know, I mean, I just love everything, so that makes it easier. But and I do go through some depressive times,
Yeah.
but I don't harp on it.
Yeah.
And it's you know, I basically like, it's okay.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay to be depressed, and because there's still, you know, a love for it too, and
Yeah.
there's still a there's just this deeper inside me sense of joy, peace, love
What is your
that's there, and then on the top of that is layered maybe happiness or depressive or
yeah.
anxious or calm or whatever, and you know, so that's, I don't know if that's just how I was made, or
Yeah.
or if it's, you know, I've meditated
Yeah.
for years, and most of my meditation was just trying to.
Well, before you were meditating, were you depressive?
No, I had depressive,
Episodes, like
de-
times.
yeah, depressive times. Um, yeah.
But what about when like depressive things weren't happening
Well,
around you?
I have been through an extremely deep depression when I was 12 years old,
Yeah.
and I wanted to kill myself.
Yeah.
It was so bad, and it
Just
was like being in a cave and can't get out,
yeah.
and it was just a dark,
Do you
and
know why?
I know what triggered it.
Yeah.
I came downstairs, and it was a Saturday morning. Came downstairs, and nobody was there, and you know, so I had Josh and Matt and
Yeah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
You know, I had two brothers and a sister. We're all
Yeah.
close. My mom and my dad, and anyway, I came downstairs, regular Saturday,
Mhm.
and nobody was there. I was the only one there, and I was like, wonder where everybody is. And then something in my mind goes, well, what if they all died in a car wreck this morning,
Yeah.
and I'm all alone? And something in my mind clicked,
Yeah.
and that's what started my depression.
How long do you think you were depressed?
Oh gosh, I was depressed a long time. It got so bad my parents sent me to a psychiatrist,
Yeah.
and and then um, and then the which I don't think was working, you know, and I didn't know why I was depressed or anything like that. It was just terrible. And I might have been picking it up from my mom too, because I pick up a lot of people's energies.
Yeah.
And I didn't know it at that time, but she was going through a depression as well.
Yeah.
And I might have been picking that up too, which exacerbated things. But anyway, so I went one, and nobody knew it. None of my friends or anybody knew it. Just my mom and my dad. I don't even think my brothers and my sister knew it.
Yeah.
Although Josh probably did know something was going on. But
Yeah.
A friend of mine invited me to come over to his house. That lived up the street, about a mile away, and so I went over there to him. It was at night. It was like a Saturday or something.
Yeah.
And he wanted to throw water balloons at cars.
Yeah.
And so I was like, okay, I'll do that. And so we were on the side of the road, and we had some water balloons, and a car came by, and I threw it, and it went through it was summertime, and he had his window down, and it went through the window and exploded in the car. And he slammed on brakes, and he got out, and he started chasing me. And screaming at me, and that he was going to kill me.
Yeah.
And I was just like running as fast as I could, like this. I was just going so fast.
Yeah.
And my heart was beating like this, and I was going, and I was like, wait a minute. If I wanted to kill myself, I'd just let this guy catch me and kill me. And I'm running, and I'm going, and I was like, I must not want to kill myself. and I go, and that was the trigger
That helps you come back.
that got me out of that.
Mm-hmm.
And then I was like, I got to throw water balloons.
At more people.
I got to throw water balloons all the time. And so I did. I started doing stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I think the adrenaline rush and all that kind of stuff,
Yeah.
you know, it cured me.
Yeah.
It cured me, really.
Yeah.
It did. And so if anybody's depressed out there, I mean, half the stuff that I used to do that was so, could be looked at as so, you know, juvenile or whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it was just like,
You good?
I just got bit by something.
Let me
But-
see. Let me see.
But,
Oh, here it is.
what was it?
It looks like an ant, like maybe a red one, but it was in a circle and it just fell out of my hand somewhere. So.
Okay, cool. But anyway,
Yeah.
So I was doing that as just a means of surviving when somebody else might have been doing it just to, you know, have fun or be a prankster or whatever. That was my survival technique, and it worked really well, and pretty much have lived by that stuff since.
Oh yeah, I think that I think when I was 13 was when around the first time that I was depressed. I'm trying to think. That's right. That's like 8th grade. 13, 14.
Yeah.
13.
And you're also going through hormone changes then, and puberty and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Although I didn't reach puberty until I was a senior in college. But
Are you joking? I feel like, look at that. I feel like, what is it carrying? A bug?
it's carrying a bug.
I feel like you did. You remember? Do you remember? You remember when we would come down, like, well, when we like had pubic hair, and we were like, and I remember this, and I remember coming down and being like, I have pubes, like pubic hair or whatever, and you were like, let's see, and I think you were literally on the toilet, like taking a poop, or peeing or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
And you're like, let's see. And I was like, look, and you're like, he's like, you flush the toilet. You're like, wait, hold on 1 second. And you walk up to the drawer and you pull out a magnifying glass. And you go, oh, I think I see something. Do you remember that?
Vaguely remember that.
Yeah.
So funny.
I feel like, sometimes I feel like I'm still maturing. Or sometimes I feel like I'm still hitting puberty. Not really,
No,
like
I know.
not physically.
Yeah.
But I definitely was a late, like, also like with actual puberty too.
Mm-hmm.
I was late with actual puberty, and just like I've always just been looked physically younger than people like my age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder like if age really is just like specifically like necessarily like a number thing, because I really do feel like I age slower
Mm.
than people around me.
Well, I mean, I don't know about that,
Well,
but I
I've
do
always
think
been
that
younger.
people physically, I can look at people my own age, and some of them look older, and some of them look younger, and I
Yeah.
do think people grow older quicker than some other people.
I just feel like I haven't met another guy that's the same age as me that literally looks younger than me.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I ever have. I always, yeah.
Well, I looked extremely young when I was in my 20s.
I think you still probably look young. How old are you again? 60.
61.
Yeah, you look pretty young.
I mean, I feel for the most part young.
What age do you feel like?
I don't know the age, but
Well, do you still sometimes feel like a kid?
often,
Yeah.
often I do.
Like when you look in, I looked in the mirror the other day. You know, I don't feel like, you know, we didn't have like the ceremonial like you're an adult now,
No, we
like they
didn't.
do like back at, like in the day. You know what I'm saying? Back like in tribal times or other places.
Yeah,
There's no like you're an adult now ceremony.
that's right.
Yeah. And when I look in the mirror, sometimes I don't feel like I'm like I feel sometimes like I'm still waiting to become a man. And I feel like a child. And I'm like, why, you know, and I researched it too because I was like looking into it, which it seems a lot of people have this feeling. But I was like, I think a lot of it has to do with perspective of like when you're a kid, it looks like all the adults have their shit together perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, well, when do I gonna feel like I have my, like, do you know what I'm saying? Maybe
Mm-hmm.
that's part of it. But yeah, that's something I've been struggling with too, is just like, I feel like pretty behind. And I just feel like,
Well, I do think, you know, struggling with stuff is just natural. I mean,
yeah,
it's just how things are.
yeah,
And it's like you're never going to get to a point where you're not struggling, I think. You know, it's just a matter of how you look at it. Or you may look at it like this is so natural and normal, this is just how life is, that it's not struggling.
yeah.
You know, it's just another pattern of life that's, you know, built in. And I do think that. I do think that
I
there's
do think
built-in patterns that are almost like God-given built-in patterns, and if you just don't resist it so much and just kind of appreciate it, um, it it you
To
know
me, I feel like if I just stopped resisting, then I wouldn't even do anything. Because to, like,
well, that's going to be more mine than, because, you know, I do think that this whole universe, if you just look at it, is nothing but action.
you know,
You know, there's movement and action in everything.
you know,
And I do think that the only thing that really can prevent action is your mind. You know, and it may be a subtle thought process or whatever it is, that would prevent you from doing it, but it would be a thought that would preventing, or a way that you're looking at things
you know.
and processing things. But action is going on all the time. It's built in with all of us, really. It's pretty cool. And so you would just have to look at yourself and say, okay, if I could just kind of surrendered, or if I kind of appreciated it, or kind of did what would happen. You know, be curious. The most important thing, if I was to give advice to anybody, um, I would say that just be curious. It's because we don't know anything. We don't know anything. Even, these adult minds that we have tell us this, 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 and this, and I know this, and this is what this is.
Yeah.
But if you remain curious, you got to put your adult mind, which is equivalent to a mistaken mind, which is equivalent to the voice in your head, which is not telling you the truth. It's just, an adult mind, a mistaken mind. Put that behind your curiousness. Like, stand behind me, adult mind. I'm going to remain curious. I'm going to remain in wonder. And it may take practice doing that, but stay curious. That would be my advice. And my other advice would be more just, you're built to survive. All of us are built to adapt and survive in different situations, and built to be able to take care of ourselves. And, maybe not at the quality that we want to be taken care of or that we want to find ourselves in, but you really can, you got to appreciate that too. I mean, you got to have a sense of wonder and appreciation about
I think,
that too.
like, I've had some senses of wonder at different times. One of the senses of wonder was when I took the psychedelic. Do you remember?
Well,
you weren't there. You don't remember when it happened.
I wasn't there, so I don't remember.
Well, it was around the same time you gave me the Eckhart Tolle book.
Okay, gotcha. Gotcha.
And I felt like very, not even on, when I was off of it too, I felt very free. Which is kind of one of the reasons why I did all my stuff that I did.
Yeah.
Is because I felt really unburdened by everything to where I could just go in any direction I wanted to.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm not going deep into that. That's one of the times. And the other time, I started feeling like when I really believed that, like, thing. And then, well, basically, this is where I was going to go with this. Well, the first time that happened, and for a while, it was all, fine and dandy. And then I think mind and other people, not even me's mind, really got a hold of me when I was, like, in Los Angeles and stuff. But then when I came back and I started my TikTok and everything, to me, like, making the really funny, cringy videos were kind of like my water balloons.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was really funny and it was exhilarating.
Mm-hmm.
And then I started getting really popular, but I also really fully believed in a lot of the things that we've been talking about, which was just like, I guess in a different form, but like talking about the adult mind and talking about kind of like learned behaviors and like talking about the listener and like, like talking about, I was all about like trying to be present and stuff too, but just like more just like not letting that adult mind like control me and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't explain it. I'm just saying, like, I was just able to, like, I was strong. I was at a time where that part was still there and very prominent, but it didn't really feel like it could get me.
Mm-hmm.
But just like when I took the psychedelics and time went on and everything, it felt like my mind weaseled its way back in, and now it feels like, and then I, broke up with my ex and from like years ago, and I started working out and meditating every day and doing everything I could. It felt like to just like try to really whatever, and it never really felt like it worked. And it just, at this point, I know this is so stupid, and I know this is just my mind talking, but it just feels like my mind knows all the things now. Like, it, not like all the things I'm talking about, like it knows how to keep me. Like, it's like, you did this, and it's like, I figured out how to get back in. And it's like, you did this, and I figured out how to get back in. And now it feels like it's like, almost like it figured out my strategies. I know this is like, I'm just trying to verbalize.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah, but it feels like it's like figured out my strategies, and now it's just like got a hold of me, and it's like, and it feels like.
Well, hold that thought.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
I gotta pee too.
Okay.
You can see mine, so she can. So, I was saying that my mind feels like it's just like relentless, and it's figured out my strategies. I mean, to the point where it's like I almost feel like the only way to break free from it would almost be like psychedelics again, which is not something that I haven't like seeked out or reached out for it or anything like that. But in my mind, I'm like, it's been 7 years, and the only thing that I know that really did it for me was when I did that, and it did it like that.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, but just so you know, because I feel like,
Well, that's why they call different things practices too, because the mind does do that. It comes back, that part of the mind.
you know,
It's like, my understanding from the little bit of Buddhism that I have read about or, you know, heard about or whatever is, it's the rebirth. It's the rebirth of the mind. So it's like, it's on that wheel that goes around. What do
yeah,
they call it? The gerbil wheel or something like that.
yeah,
You know, and what happens is when the gerbil gets off, it stops, but the gerbil gets back on and starts doing it,
yeah,
and your mind just rebuilds itself, and and so that's why they have those practices of meditation and yoga and inquiry and all that kind of stuff, and to try to control the mind.
I
It's
feel like I've
just
done
tough.
so much inquiry. I just think like
It is going to rebuild itself.
yeah,
And then you can do psychedelics too. You
to
can
break
do
it down.
you can do it, and it'll get you there quick, beyond that mind. But that mind, if it a lot of times, is going to still, once the drug wears off and everything, it's still going to rebuild itself. You may be carrying an insight from that psychedelic
Yeah,
that says, okay, I'm looking at things differently. I've experienced things differently, and so the mind, it just takes a little bit longer for it to rebuild because you're seeing through it. It's still fresh, that experience on the psychedelic and all that stuff. But I mean, I had an experience which you know about
yeah.
when I read Eckhart Tolle, and my mind. I mean, I felt like I died, and then
I had that same experience. Not maybe the same exact as yours,
yeah,
but I'm saying like I had a psychedelic experience reading Eckhart Tolle.
yeah, and so it was like boom, and everything. There was just that overwhelming sense of peace, joy, love, all that stuff. It was like seeing the world for the first time, like had been reborn, and even the room I was in, you know, it was like I was seeing it for the first time. Kimbra, seeing her for the first time, everything, and it was just like, and it lasted for about 2 weeks, and then it just kind of dissipated, and then everything went back to normal. So I do think that's just a lot of how things work, but you do, at least my experience is, or the way it's worked with me is, um, you carry that with you though. It's
Yeah.
you carry that underneath the mind that builds itself back.
Yeah. I'm just a little tired of my mind. I think like one thing is like not to like be egotistical, but I think I'm pretty like a pretty intelligent person. As in like growing up and stuff, I've been able to like adapt and be pretty smart and like pretty talented at things. And I feel like a lot of that has to do with like the way that my mind works. And I feel like because because am I feel like because my mind is so strong, it is one of the reasons why I was able to be talented and stuff at things. And now it feels like that strength of my mind is like turned to like that strength is now turned into like hurting me.
Hmm.
So like
Well,
before
that's
it,
a good recognition of that,
but
because I'm just going to tell you kind of how what I did was, I noticed that my mind was just thinking same things over and over and over again.
yeah,
And then I was just like, got to the point where I'm just going to use that, like that jackhammer mind that I have, just thinking about the same things over repetitively.
Yeah.
I'm going to turn that inside and start trying to figure out who I am, how does this work, how does the world work, and let it just kind of jackhammer on that for a while. And so that's what I did, and
But when did you do that?
I did that. I can't remember how many years ago. What was I, 40 or something?
Yeah, that's the thing is, sorry to interrupt, but I feel like I have been introspective and sometimes might be a little too introspective. Maybe not in like the same way, but I'm saying like
Why are you introspective? What are you trying to accomplish?
I feel like I
What's your goal?
I feel like would be to understand like why, and then in this moment I feel like I want to cry and I'm sad. And in the past I feel like I've had more sadness than happiness, and it gets to a point where you want to figure out why. And I think that makes me be more introspective. But I feel like you got to understand that like it would have probably served me better to not be introspective when I first became introspective, because I wasn't like an established human in the world. And so instead of my mind thinking about being a human and establishing itself in the world, it was just being super introspective and not being super physically worldly at first. I think at 40 you have so much like solid ground and roots and stuff, like in establishedness, like established with your job and everything, that you like can lose yourself in introspectiveness, and it's still hard and stuff, but you're like safe, feeling with yourself, you know you're safe, you know, in a way. But for me, like that happening like when I was 18, like it's not, it might not have served me as like a human as much.
Well,
But I'm not saying this isn't something I think about.
I agree with
Yeah.
what you're saying. I do think that if you're going to be seriously looking inside and seeing how things work and what's going on and stuff like that, um, it's it it can, I mean it depending on how deep you go and how far you go, it can really rip you apart.
Yeah.
And you got to have some kind of foundation,
Yeah.
some kind of grounding foundation. I think that can work you through it, or
Yeah.
I mean, not work you through it, but stabilize you while you're doing it, or it can just it can. I mean, it's still tough anyway. It's not.
I agree. I'm not trying to lessen the toughness. That I think it's a tough situation, no matter what. But I think it can like destabilize you.
I'm agreeing is what I'm
Yeah.
saying. I'm saying I know how destabilizing and painful and how it can create a lot of suffering, and if you're young doing it, it you just you don't you don't you it can wreak havoc on you.
Yeah.
But um, you know, it's also something that you learn from,
Yeah.
and you allow yourself to give yourself space to grow, change, whatever. Um,
But it's like for me, I know I keep interrupting you. For me, like I feel like, and honestly, everything I say might not be exactly true because I'm just like expressing in the moment
I
and trying
know.
to figure it out.
Yeah.
But well, for me, like it feels like I can like now like no longer be like, I'm sure you might even relate to this, but it's like I can never fully envelop myself back into the game of life. like the identity of like being Custis or Blue or whatever. Like I can never fully, even though it's got such like, even though I have this intense mind and I have like, and it's really negative, and I sometimes right now, and like I am struggling, and it's very obvious that I'm in the game. Like I'm like here, and it's me, and I have identity. Like I do. Like, you know what I'm saying? I'm not like pretending like I'm some Buddha person who's whatever. Like I'm very much in identity. But at the same time, like it feels like I can never fully be back in that.
Well, I'm gonna have to give that a little bit of thought, but I can relate to what you're saying,
Yeah.
and but I know enough to know that it's the processing, the way you've processed that.
Yeah.
You hadn't processed it correctly. Your
Yeah.
mind hadn't, and that's why you're halfway in, halfway out.
Yeah.
You're not halfway in and halfway out, but that's the way it feels because that's how your mind has processed it, and so you think it's that way, and you can't. You're stuck, but
And I know that that's the problem is like I even feel like I know that it's because I think that way.
yeah,
Like I believe it, and I think
that's
way.
the system. You know, you can't use the same system that is keeping you trapped to get you out of the trap. So
Yeah.
you can't. That's not that. You know, the system wants you to think that.
Yeah.
The system that's keeping you trapped wants to think you need to use that system to get you out of the trap. But that's not what gets you out of the trap. You're not in the trap is the thing. Your identity, the identity that you are, is not in any trap whatsoever. It is completely free.
Yeah.
And it's the other system.
I know, and it feels
Yeah.
like it, but it feels. So that's what I'm saying is it feels like
Well, y'all,
it feels like I'm so enveloped in the other system, but at the same time, I can't be in that system all the way.
yeah.
And it's kind of like that's, you know what I mean.
Well,
But
you're going to learn to live. You're going to learn. You're going to first find out at some point that okay, this was all the way I was thinking, and I didn't realize it. And then, and then that's how this is going to unfold. And then you're going to start trying to figure out, okay, how can my identity, whatever that is, because it's nothing objective, it's completely unobjective. It's not this, not this, not that.
yeah,
How can that interact with, this world, these people? How does it interact and play? And that's something that is something that you just have to, it's something that is going to require a lot of figuring. I mean, it's like hit and miss. You just got to test it, figure out things. It'll kind of.
but so now it's just like, okay, so now,
So you're
So,
like,
like, so
let
the-
me just tell you something. We're all on a river, right?
yeah,
And we're all floating down the river. And the river has different bends in it.
yeah,
And everybody's at a different bend in the river.
yeah,
And you're at a different bend in the river than other people. I am too.
yeah,
And each bend has its own, scenery
yeah.
and its own like rapids
I'm tired of the scenery.
or
tired of this,
still water
Grandpa.
or whatever it is. And but you're going to continue to float on down, and things are gonna unfold differently, and the scenery's going to unfold differently.
Do you want a sip of water?
No, I'm good.
Okay.
And yeah, so what I think is important is, you got family that loves you, and people that love you, friends that love you, and that's real important to, hang out and spend time and express yourself with those folks too. And I'm just saying, there's with depression or with sadness and that type of thing.
I know, in my mind. So it's like I'm dealing with that feeling of separation. And then I'm also dealing with kind of like depression and just like, you know,
Mm-hmm.
whatever my mind's thinking, which I'm like pretty convinced of.
Mm-hmm.
And then at the same time, I'm also dealing with that just as part of the mind, but like being 27, being a man, just about to graduate college, not having success figured out in what I want and in what I want, not feeling like the safety, like I'm gonna build it. Like obviously I can provide for myself, but like in the way where I'm, you know, like it just feels like I'm very confused at which direction. And then, and I also, so it's like I'm confused in my real physical life. I'm confused in my spiritual life. I'm confused in my, you know what I'm saying? And it's like, well, and I'm like, well, how can I even figure out one of these things when I'm dealing with all these things anyway? Like you know, we were talking about like when you need to practice and be, you're not saying this, but like, okay, I'm like being introspective and figuring these things out. Well, it's like, how am I supposed to figure all these things out when I'm also trying to, you know, like I can't
Mm-hmm.
spend my time figuring these things out when I'm trying to figure these other things out,
Mm-hmm.
when I'm trying to figure these other things out. And I want you to know, like, there's ants all over me. What's up, guy? What's up, dude?
Well, I think the first thing you want to do is, hey, I'm just going to say this. You're 27 years old.
I know.
And this is just the age of uncertainty. You
Yeah.
don't know what you know.
Okay, but
you don't know
I
where
will say
you're
that
going.
when you were 27, you were married and you were practicing law.
I don't think I got married till I was 28.
You were engaged.
Okay.
But mom was having a baby at 27. Kelly Sky, she was pregnant with Kelly Sky at 27.
Yeah.
Yeah. I know it's different times.
But that age, you know, you can talk to Brighton went through it.
Yeah.
Luke, everybody that I know of goes through that. That's part of the thing.
Yeah.
You know? But if you're trying to prioritize things, the first thing you want to do, and I'm just getting back to basics,
Yeah.
is the first thing you want to do is provide for yourself,
Yeah.
like your food, shelter.
Yeah.
That's the main thing. Concentrate on food and shelter.
Yeah.
Then after that, then you can start doing some introspective stuff and all that kind of stuff. But take care of the basics first that need to be taken care of. Then go into the you know, introspective stuff, and then you can go into anything else you want to go into. But that's my advice is take care of yourself, take care of the basics. Think about other people. That really does help out, like with people that are depressed or not happy or whatever. If you can help somebody else, and you can, you know, if you can just help somebody else, it's and do good for somebody else, it, you know, that's good. If you got a job where you are helping people and getting paid for it, that's just amazing.
Yeah.
So that would be my practical
Well,
advice.
a lot of people would say that even like what's happening right now would be helping people.
Yeah.
And my social media is been able to help people.
Yeah.
And I want to be able to build my social media, but I'm not seeing in my mind, I'm not seeing it like working.
Well, it may not.
And that's
And if
another
it
thing that I'm
doesn't,
coming to terms with.
Yeah, well, you come to terms with that. The most important thing, I think, is that we're adaptable. You know, it's not the most important thing is manifesting something happening, which is, you know, attending to something, which is, I think, is important. You know, that's important, and it's got its place. But recognize, even before that we're adaptable. And that's really where the celebration should come in. That we are so adaptable, we can change under different circumstances and thrive.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's the thing that should be celebrated. And then the manifestation, you know, comes after that, I think, if you were to sequence it. Yeah, but when you're talking about manifestation, you got to be careful, because it could be your adult mind trying to do the manifestating, and it doesn't know really what is best for you.
Well, I would agree. I think like so. Right, I want to tell you like what my mind thinks.
I would love to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this past week, or um, I feel like okay, I'm failing at social media.
Okay.
Wait, wait.
A,
Let me just get through my mind.
failing.
Yeah,
That's a strong word.
I know.
Okay.
But if you've done it for so long and it feels like it feels like a good F. So I'm just telling you what my mind's thinking. I'm not trying to. I'm just telling you. So I feel like I failed at social media. I feel like I feel like I don't feel like I failed at music yet. But I'm like I don't feel like I'm good. Like I feel like I'm not getting good. I don't feel like I'm at the skill level to where like I'll be able to survive off of it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Not even talking about putting my music out, just like
Mm-hmm.
in general,
Mm-hmm.
like not even just about me.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like that. I feel like I'm about to, graduate, and I feel obviously like have a lot of support from y'all, even though the past few months I've been able to make enough money to support myself. Although that's just like not something I can guarantee as of right now while I'm in school.
Mm-hmm. I'm
But
still listening. I'm just hanging
I'm
out.
feeling incredibly insecure about myself.
Mm-hmm.
I don't feel insecure like physically, like as a,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm feeling very insecure as a man,
Mm-hmm.
and that has to do with like the other failures and not being able to like what it feels like not being able to support myself really, and not seeing it like so I'm feeling very insecure about my music. I'm feeling very insecure about my social media. I'm feeling very insecure about myself, and I'm feeling very insecure about like the way that I will be perceived as a man because don't have my shit together. And then I'm feeling very insecure about being insecure. I don't feel insecure to be insecure in front of you, which is like the first time that I haven't felt really insecure about talking about my insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
because I know I have so much trust with like that you like with your love, and there's no way that you're going to judge me um at all. So I don't feel insecure about being insecure, but generally I feel pretty insecure about being insecure because being insecure is pretty masculine in society, and it's
Mm-hmm.
also like a very unattractive quality.
Mm.
It's like a very unattractive quality.
Mm.
Um, and so dealing like with all of that, and then like dealing with like now now I feel like I'm at a crossroads like with my life. I feel like, do I keep pursuing like the things that I like that they really are my goals, or like do I just fucking figure it out, do something else? You know what I mean? Because I'm getting older and stuff, and it's just like that stressing me out. That decision stressing me out. Thinking about that stressing me out. Thinking about giving up on certain things is stressing me out. Thinking about like, but this is stuff that's like, this isn't like stuff that just like passes my brain. This is like what I'm thinking about like 24/7,
Mm-hmm.
like day in day out, like
Mm-hmm.
on. Do you know what I'm saying? And then like on top of that, I just don't feel that good, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and like I'm trying to think about the other things that my mind is thinking about, which is just like, yeah, I'm like worried about not being able to have a family at some point because of the insecurity. That all wraps up with the insecurity and stuff of like
Mm-hmm.
not being, I'm just like I'm not looking I don't see like when I look 5 years or 10 years in the future, I don't see like success.
Mm-hmm.
I don't see anything,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's really like starting to scare me
Mm.
and like take a toll on me.
Mm-hmm.
But I've always been, not always, but I've always had waves of pretty intense like sadness and depression and like these types of things anyway. So, but like at least before, like when I was doing things, I had like full belief
Mm-hmm.
that they were going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So just I think a lot of growing pains and stuff too. But it's just like You know, and I feel like so overwhelmed, like it's so hard to even make a right decision, and I feel like I gotta make some type of decision, something, and just keep going. You know what I mean, in that direction. But I don't know. I'm just stressed. I'm just stressed out, and
Well, it's a lot at your age, you know.
yeah,
And those are normal stressors at your age, trying to figure out
yeah,
what's going on, what you're going to do. If your social media can't support yourself with that, can't support yourself with music, whatever, whatever. I mean, you know, then what are you going to do? All that stuff at your age is normal.
yeah,
And and so, you know, I've been there, and I'm a lot older than you, so I can hear the seriousness and the suffering and the, you know, how this is really impacting you,
yeah,
and really what I feel like when I'm hearing this is just, you know, holding back laughing, to tell you the truth,
yeah.
because it's it's I mean, it's not
You
it,
motherfucker.
it's not even, I mean,
It's not that serious. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying, you're gonna be. It's just
But
like,
what? How do you know? Like, how can I be? How can you be like, oh,
it's
he's
just
gonna be fine?
you can't know it, but I can know it, you
Yeah.
know, and so I can laugh about it. It's almost like humorous to me hearing you say all that stuff, because I know you're gonna be fine and everything's gonna work out, and you're gonna be fine. This is like that's you're 27 and you don't know what you really want to do. You know what you do want, think you know what you want to do, but you may fail
And I don't even
using
know.
your
You
words
know
at that. But
the thing.
you have gained so much experience. I mean, it's. But I can't talk you out of your
I know you
insecurity
can't.
right now. All
Yeah.
I can do is laugh about it, because I know you're going to come out of it.
Well, I know it's just like, well,
And I'm not going to feed that insecurity, because I can't feed it, because I know you're coming out of it. It's going to be, and you're going to look back at this, and probably look back at this video.
but
And
I'm sitting here like, it feels like this feeling, and you're probably right. It's just gonna come back, but it's just like, I'm like, how much long? Like, what is this just forever for me?
no, it's not forever. It's not.
Because it feels
We're
like,
all, no, nothing's forever. You know, it's all going to fluctuate and change and stuff like that, depending on the circumstances and the environment and everything like that.
yeah.
And
But you know, I'm so.
I'm going to give you one of my poems
Okay,
right
but
now. Okay?
okay.
All right, so this is one of my poems. So, if you can imagine a snail.
Are we in the poem already?
Well, I'm giving you the context.
Okay, I just didn't know.
Okay.
That was okay.
So, if you can imagine a snail that has lost its shell, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Doesn't have a shell, right?
Yeah.
And when I think of a snail that's lost its shell, I also think of a slug, right?
Yeah.
Don't they look the
They
same?
look like a snail that lost its shell.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
do, right? Okay. So, this is just kind of something I've been thinking about.
Yeah.
And it's like, if God can be in a burning bush without burning it, then God can be in a homeless person without the homeless person finding a home.
Mm-hmm.
And so, what I'm thinking about that
Is that the poem?
that's the point. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
So, if I'm gonna say it one more time, because I might not have said it right, but if God can be found in a burning bush
Yes.
without burning the bush, then certainly God can be found in a homeless person
Without a home.
without a person finding a home.
Without a person finding a home.
And so, without a person finding a home, without them feeling secure, without, the identity, the identity's there that's going to take care of you. Just like it takes care of a snail, just like it takes care of a slug. That identity that's in all things is in you and is going to take care of you. And it is. And if you're somebody like me, then you hear that, you can look around, but you hear a bell. You know, the bell, that identity. And that identity is, nothing can happen to it. It's going to take care of you. It's there for you. You know, and so I don't know.
Yeah.
We can get wrapped up in insecurities and this and that and this and that, and we forget about the identity in all of us. We don't hear the bell ringing. You know, there's a bell that I hear right now that is our identity.
I feel like you get to hear the bell a little more.
I may hear it more.
I'm a little jealous. Not really. I don't have any jealousy towards you,
But you know, it's just a way of. It's just there, and so I see it in you too. I know you're going to be fine. And so I can laugh about some things, and I can make some shitty poetry, but it also.
I think it could have been a good.
awesome.
It could be a good. That might be a good. It might be a really deep poem. It sounded like it was deep, but it also made me laugh.
Yeah, that's great.
But that's because it's just like I've read so much of your poetry, and some of them are just like
They're terrible, awful, but
some of my songs are too. I mean, they're not necessarily terrible. I like all of your. I literally like all of your poetry, even the ones that you think are terrible.
well, it sure.
But I just know. But
gives me
because
a good
the thing is,
feeling.
I'm very willing to listen to you.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Sometimes I zone out, but I'm definitely willing to listen to your art.
Yeah.
And I'm definitely willing to like always listen to your art, and so I love all your poetry, but I have a feeling that some people might not love your poetry too.
Yeah. Oh no.
But that's the same with my
Oh no.
music anyway.
It's amazing. But you know, that's the other thing I've been thinking about too, is the profane and the sacred.
Yeah.
You know, like this rock. Let's say somebody can just see this as a rock, and then somebody can see it as something just fantastically, spiritually amazing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And I figured out how you can spiritualize ordinary things.
Yeah.
And that's just notice the direction and source of light just right now, which would be the sunlight.
Mm-hmm.
And you just notice the direction and the source of it
Mm-hmm.
as it lights up this rock,
Mm-hmm.
right? This ordinary rock. And then you also notice the direction and source of love that that meets right here where the light is. And the direction and source of love has got to be coming from right here to there. And the light's hitting it. And when those combine and hit that, that's how you make something normal spiritual.
Do you think...
And it'll give you a sense of love and wonderment. It does. It does.
Do you think that you would have been burned at the stake in the 1600s?
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Or do you think that they would have taken you to like a...
But what does that tell you? There's two or more ways to look at something.
There's probably,
you know? And you know...
By the way, guys, I just want to say something. If you're still listening, wait. It might seem like I'm not like fully indulging in everything he says, but I will say that this is just a conversation on the camera. I've gone through this specific thing before, and I'm just giggling a little bit because I think it's funny. I thought that was just a funny comment. I wanted to make a funny comment. I'm not gonna lie. Okay, but let's hear it.
I'm just saying that that's, the ordinary doesn't jazz you up, does it? This is just a rock.
But this is what you're talking about when.
But if you if you spiritualize it, and the way that I spiritualize it is I notice the direction and source of light and the direction and source of love, and when they meet on this rock, it spiritualizes. It gives you a sense of. It just makes you joyful, and also gives you a sense of love.
Well, you,
and I
you
say
make me joyful.
but I say you, but I guess it's just me that it does. But that's just a technique I use to notice things, and so somebody can not like your music, and somebody can like your music, and it's just the way the world works, and. But I think if you go inside, there's something that can't be profane or can't be normalized, and it's always spiritual. And whatever that is, you could call it your soul or identity or whatever it is. But whatever it is, it's there.
Yeah.
And it loves you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you draw strength from that. And then your eyes see things differently. And then you make some shitty music. Sing about it.
Okay, I want to say something that probably people are like, why the hell does he keep talking about this? But I have to fully feel expressed. So so I want to say this one more thing, even though it doesn't really matter. I just want to talk about my mind one more time.
Yeah.
I feel like at this point, like, how do you even know? Like, I don't even know, like, what is pure and impure when it comes to my goals. As in, like...
Yeah, you're confused.
I don't even know what... Like, if the things that I want to do or I'm doing are things that I want to do. Or if they were ego-driven, And because of that confusion, it's almost like... I'm just thinking of this right now. That confusion also... I mean, of course, it would even feel, like, hard to even do things because I have that confusion, and I'm like, well, do I even like doing this or not? I don't even know. Like, or do I like is this, but like, I know that I want to do it, but also I'm like, do I want to do it? Like, even that separation makes things even harder to lean into things, even though I've obviously leaned into it. Mm-hmm. But I'm just like at the point where I'm like, I'm just confused about everything. And I'm like, and it's like, I don't even know what I want. If I want these things that I say I want.
Mm-hmm. I know.
Yeah.
You don't.
Yeah.
You don't know. No,
yeah.
You think you do, and then you go for it, and then it turns out it's not something you want, or it doesn't bring you happiness or anything like that. So it feels good to make. It
feels good to make a good song. It also feels good to make a really funny video that people like.
Yeah, but it's not all about feeling either. It's about aligning with the universe, and in a way that is basic. Like,
I know. I don't feel very aligned with the universe. Even though I know from one way I'm always aligned.
Yeah.
But I don't feel aligned.
But I mean from a basic standpoint. Like, just, there's of just taking care of the basics.
Yeah.
The food and shelter. Just taking care of yourself is a good feeling.
Yeah.
And that's an alignment. I mean, that's primary alignment right there. At your age, too.
Yeah.
It's not like, at your age, that's going to be a good feeling.
Yeah.
And you don't have to shoot for the stars.
Yeah.
You don't have to do any of that stuff. That'll come. You figure out the basic first, align with the universe on that primary function at your age, then things will open up.
I've had times when, like, okay, well, technically, I thought that I was on the way again. But when in 2020 and stuff like that, I was fully supporting myself,
Yeah,
and I was still having this problem. Right now, like I'm not worried about like necessarily when I graduate.
well, what is it that you're
Well,
hoping to gain
I made.
from your social media and all that? What are you trying to
Well, I want to.
accomplish? What's your goal? What's the end game, I guess, with that?
The end game.
Yeah, I mean, is it if it's
I
if it's
wanted.
happiness,
I want to be
you
able
got to
to.
look and see, is this really bringing me happiness?
That I know, and that's what I'm
And
trying
if
to
it's
figure out.
not, then you got to pivot. You know, you got to it you know, the thing that the that something that can, if you're not gaining happiness, you got to take that
I know, but I'm trying
and
to. You
and
gotta.
say
You,
that's my lesson from this. You know.
yes, that. But what I'm trying to think is like, have I learned this? Is it time to be like, okay, I learned a lesson? Because you have to understand, I've been mostly not happy for a large part. So if I go off the base of feeling of not enjoying and not being happy, I can't just base my like things that I want based off my happiness because I've been so unhappy. And what I'm saying is that like also like when when I first started playing the guitar and I kept strumming terrible chords and playing shitty songs and getting, and people, and when I first released that song, Drink Away, in high school and stuff, all those things made me feel like shit afterwards, like the way that I it sucked to suck. You know what I'm saying? So what I'm saying is like, there's like what's called a flop era, and it feels like I'm flopping, and I'm like, so I'm like this, which sucks. But I'm saying like learning everything and doing everything, there's going to be times when it sucks. So I can't be like, oh, this isn't for me just because something sucks. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Like just like learning jiu-jitsu right now,
Mm-hmm.
or starting to work out when you first start to work out and stuff like
I
that.
hope Brighton doesn't see this.
He's not Brighton. You think Brighton's going to watch 2 hours?
Oh, we've been out here 2
Well,
hours?
no, we've probably done an hour and a half.
We're going to have to go eat at some point.
Well,
We got to go cook.
are you saying you want to go? We were getting near the end.
Yeah, we'll have to continue
well-
this conversation for sure.
Well, we were getting to the end. This is the end. But what I'm saying is, you can't just be like, oh, you've learned your lesson, you don't like it. Because like I'm like, what do I not like? Like, do I just not like that I'm not doing well at it? Do you know what I'm saying? That I'm just not, like I'm failing right now at it? Is that the part I don't like? I can tell you it's not necessarily the part that's causing me depression per se, because I've had it, when I've succeeded and failed at things. So, do you know what I'm saying? So that's the struggle, that's the confusion that I'm at. But we can.
Well,
Yeah.
I think that we'll definitely have to continue this conversation
Yeah.
and explore what's going on with you and all that kind of stuff. And not that hopefully we can figure out a few things, but sometimes just talking through stuff, it'll come to you eventually.
Yeah.
What would be best for you to be doing, and
Well, I feel better.
or helpful.
Well,
Be helpful.
Yeah.
Things come out that are helpful. It's within you, and talking will bring it out.
My whole intention of this was like my intention of the conversation was to talk to you about this.
Well, I'm glad you talked to me
Yeah.
about it.
But I do feel better being able to express it and stuff.
Yeah,
And talk
absolutely. Express it, and it's, you're, you. I want you to do well. I want you to, I love you so much, and I'm here for you.
Yeah. I know you are.
And so you're not. That's why I can laugh about things too. I'm not laughing about your depression or anything like that, because
I know that you weren't laughing
about that, but I am laughing about the insecure. I'm insecure on this, that, and this, because I know you're going to be fine with that stuff. The depression, you might just need to hang out with me for a little more, and we'll work through it, you know?
Well, maybe when I graduate, we can do a little trip before I start doing other shit again.
Yeah.
I want to.
Yeah. And, yeah, and spend some time with yourself, not on camera and stuff like that, too.
I spend a lot of time with myself, not on camera.
Yeah, but not even thinking about a camera, you too.
Well, this is what I'm saying. So, like,
Yeah.
I know we're ending the conversation. I'm just telling you, like, it's not like, well, I just told you what my 24/7 brain is.
Yeah.
It's not just like, oh, spin yourself not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't feel like, I don't feel like I have it handled.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like something that's in the air.
Mm-hmm.
And so my mind has to think about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Social, that's what like this creating content is doing for me right now is it feels like it's always up in the air because I know it's not.
Yeah.
Like, and another thing before we go, I do want to say that I really hope this doesn't make people in my community feel like they aren't necessarily enough because I'm saying that I'm not doing that well with like my social media and stuff. I genuinely appreciate them for being here, and I genuinely love like having a community and having this, and I'm also just having other struggles that are happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank goodness you got a sweet community
Yeah.
of people that are out there, and hopefully, you know, I know that they mean a lot to you, and I know you probably mean a lot to them too, and
That's another thing.
and that's just something wonderful.
It is wonderful, but I also am like, I'm worried. I'm sometimes worried to stop too because I don't want to hurt other people either.
Well, you can stop. You can take
Breaks.
You take breaks.
Yeah.
Everybody needs breaks.
It's not strategically smart though. On social media.
Well, I think people would understand.
Well, once we get through all my business one of these days, we'll talk more about your business. Even though I feel like you did talk a lot.
I did.
Well,
I talked a lot for me.
Well, you always talk a lot too.
I do?
You like talk. Well, you talk a lot if someone lets you.
Yeah.
You like to talk. You can't pretend. One more well, I'll end it on one funny story.
Okay.
And you might have to help remind me of something about this. So when I was in high school, I don't know what year, I got punished for something. I don't know if it was because I was smoking or what it was, but my punishment was every night I had to go into his meditation area, which was his closet, and I had to sit in there and just listen to him talk about
in a monotone voice.
In a monotone voice.
Just
about
terrible.
what were you talking about?
I don't know.
Some spiritual stuff, so y'all can see where I get spiritual stuff from. But like, what I'm saying is, I had to sit in there, and I had to do it for an hour. It was my punishment. Do you know why?
I can't remember why.
Like, why the hell?
But I knew that it just drove you crazy.
And I had to sit in. I sit in there. It wasn't. I didn't get a chair or anything. I had to just sit like this, and my back would hurt.
I can be
and I would
very,
just
very
sit there.
boring.
I would sit there, and I would lay back into the clothes, and I would just, after a while, would just fall asleep because he was just like talking about the book, like the freaking. He's like talking about, and he's just like, and this means this and that, and I'm like.
Yeah, that's good punishment. So, anyway.
All right. Well, I love you.
I love you, brother.
Thank you for listening to me.
Yep. Anytime. Anytime. I love
I
you.
know.
You're
I
going
love
to
you
be
too.
fine. You're going to be okay. And you got people that love you, that want to be with you and want to hang out and want to help you, support you, and, you know, thank goodness.